Welcome to the Voice of East Turkestan podcast program, produced by the Center for East Turkistan National Interest. I'm Eleanor, and today we are going to interview Rukiye Turdush about Uyghur women in China's genocide. She is the director and researcher at Center for East Turkestan National Interest. Rukiye, it's nice to have you today, and you have published an article which is titled Uyghur Women in China's Genocide and Genocide Study and Prevention in an international journal in 2021. It was 4 years ago, but China's genocide is still ongoing, and China's genocide is targeted towards the entire Uyghur and other Turkic Muslims in East Turkestan. Why does your paper focus primarily on Uyghur women?
You are absolutely right. China's policy targeted almost entire Uyghur population, including Uyghur women, for mass detention camps, and they were tortured, killed, and disappeared. And after those camps were closed, most of them were changed to forced labor camps, and detainees either jailed or sent to forced labor camps. I wrote this article co-authored with Dr. Magnus from Cornell University. And I and Dr. Magnus, we're not intended to simply prioritize female victims over male victims by analyzing gender-based cases of the Uyghur genocide. We specifically focused on Uyghur women in our analysis because we want to better understand China's crimes and create practical protocols to genocide prevention.
What kind of genocidal policies were implemented against Uyghur women?
China's state policies, including forced sterilization, forced labor, forced state marriage, and appointing male Han Chinese cadres to sleep over Uyghur home, those policies, all of them are subjected Uyghur women and victimized Uyghur women. It was implemented starting 2017 in a very intensive way, heavy-handed and large scale. For example, every Uyghur woman experienced forced sterilization, and women who tried to escape these rules heavily punished, or having more than 2 kids, heavily punished. And that's why having illegal children is one of the main reasons in China's detention camps, detaining Uyghur women and the men in these camps. If we look at the Dr. Adrian Zhan's research based on Chinese statistics and the data on birth rates in 2019, and it reveals that 97% of women of childbearing age or marriage age in Khotan and Kashgar. Khotan and Kashgar is heavily populated with the Uyghurs, and they could not or would not deliver a baby. They cannot having a child. Again, Uyghur women are also suffering under forced labor policy, mainly young Uyghur women between, some of them are even 14 or 16 to 40 or 35 years old, are transferred or recruited for factory work outside of East Turkestan in inland China, and forcibly they were separated from their own community, from their own population and the male partners, and many years they could not come back. Some of them are disappeared over there. So that's also reduced Uyghur women's contribution to population growth in Uyghur community. And this way, they reduced the Uyghur population. So all of these are acts of genocide, which meet the genocide convention's definition under Article 2D, which stated that imposing measures intend to prevent birth within the group. So we also can say that they have intention, that the Chinese government and state officials have intention to do that because they know that population dramatically reduced because of that, the Uyghur population. We also know that Uyghur women are most vulnerable victims in mass rape in concentration camps or re-education camps. Women camp survivors reported many rape cases. It's that widespread in these detention camps. And they also appointed male Han cadres purposefully to sleep over Uyghurs' home. Most of these homes, adult male households were already detained, and the women are alone. That's a gross privacy violation, and there was so many sexual abuses. We cannot get like exact data, statistics from there, but this is going to cause long-term mental health problems, and that's also physical abuse too. So this is terrible, and it's hard to imagine. We know that in common knowledge, if the person experiences sexual violence, their mental and physical health never will be the same. Never will be like a before. So this act also met China's this behavior and policy also met the Genocide Convention's definition under Article 2B, which stated that causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group. But maybe some people say it like, oh no, how are you going to prove the intention of the China's the genocide when they appointing male hand cadres? Why they appointing these male hand cadres then at first place? So how they know that women are alone at home, and why male hand cadres has to sleep over Uyghur women's home then? So what is the consequence? And they saw the consequences. They know there is a fatal consequences, but still implementing this policy continuously and never stopped. And Xi Jinping said, our policy is totally correct, 100% successful. So that's mean they know the fatal consequences and they still continuing. So that's mean they have an intent to destroy the Uyghurs.
In your paper, you also explore how Chinese colonialism is reflected in policies targeting Uyghur women, particularly through punitive methods rooted in legalism. Could you tell us more about how these approaches operated in your practice?
China's intention to genocide today stems from the colonialism. It's not just something incidental. It stemmed from the colonial efforts in East Turkestan. These colonial efforts actually adopted from many legalist concepts of punishment that first emerged in ancient Qing dynasty. I'm talking about 1,000 years ago, that Qing, Qing, not the Qin Manchu. So the ancient Qing dynasty implemented legalism to control the population in the state at that time. They were thinking the people has to be punished before they do any crime, even they were innocent. So that kind of concept was adopted right now in East Turkestan. That's very different than Western legal concept, legacy of that innocent proven guilty. Even you don't have any crime, even you don't do anything, you have to get punishment first. This is what they're doing in East Turkestan right now. For example, they're doing lianzhou system in every village, every town, and every cities. They group with 5-10 Uyghur families together, and in this group, each person has to report each other to the police. If they don't report each other, and this individual considered by the police that not trustworthy, he didn't report anything, so he has a problem. So they will going to arrest this person. So sometimes people cannot find a story to report other person. They create a story, and then the people going to be arrested because of that. Camp survivors actually told me that when they interviewed Chinese guards or police at detention center, show them the list of crimes, and they force them to choose one or two or several of them. Among these lists, even they didn't do anything, but they have to choose one of them. So they were forced, and they choose one, and they're going to punish because of that. So this is, people are innocent, they didn't do anything, still they get punishment in East Turkestan. That's how they applying legalism in East Turkestan right now.
Yeah, I've experienced that firsthand there as well. But could you also outline the historical trajectory of Chinese colonialization in East Turkestan and how it laid the groundwork for your current gendered policies?
Um, I will talk about the history for this. Then in 1949, when the new Chinese Communist state was established, it claimed the previously colonized border territory of the Manchu Empire, that Tibet and East Turkestan and Mongolia. And then that was decolonization period. And the people of East Turkestan had already established twice East Turkestan Independent Republic after the Manchu Empire collapsed. And that was 5 years before then the Chinese, Communist China's establishment. They established in 1949, the new China, today's China, right? We established in 1944. It was before then the new China. And there was no Chinese communist control over there in 1949 when they baked with Stalin invaded in East Turkestan. So with the military, they invaded East Turkestan with the military help of Stalin. But it's very difficult for them to assimilate, and the East Turkestan make it East Turkestan part of China, inseparable part of China, because the religion, culture, and ethnicity of East Turkestan's population are highly distinct from those Han Chinese ethnicity in China. The assimilation of Uyghur and other Turkic people would be still difficult, even right now. And besides, China has very racist belief system. They say the Chinese should be superior than any other nation. But unlike other racist belief systems that preserve a pure bloodliness, their idea of superiority is to eliminate other racial groups, dominate and absorb them. Absorb and make it them and Han Chinese. Anyone who's not assimilated or difficult to be absorbed by the Chinese communist community and considered as a threat. It's a threat for them. When they seeing these people as a threat, they see them as an enemy, because when this threat established, they think that's the enemy. When they see them as an enemy, they want to eliminate them. That's why I say that the colonialism stemmed this genocide, because they seen Uyghurs and other Turkic people in East Turkestan as an enemy and a threat. So they want to eliminate them. That's the intent, to eliminate. And in this regard, colonial history of East Turkestan is significant in China's genocidal policies and female victims in this genocide, because women are the symbol of the land and the country, and the women are the honor of the nation and the dignity of the nation, right? And Uyghur women are dignity of the Uyghur and other Turkic, the Muslims in Turkic culture. So the Chinese colonizers subject those women to the most direct and symbolic destruction. Because when they destroy the woman, they will destroy the nation.
Mhm.
Because woman, the symbol of this nation and the mother of this nation.
What were some of the ethical challenges or responsibilities you faced in compiling these personal and sensitive testimonies?
When we gather the testimonies, our biggest responsibility was to protect the women. We have to ensuring their confidentiality first. That's very important. Avoiding the re-traumatization, because during the interview, some women may re-traumatize. So we were very careful on that, and treating their words with dignity. I wanted their experiences of sterilization, for example, sexual violence, and the coerced marriages to be understood not as isolated personal trauma, but as a part of deliberate system of Chinese state genocidal policy. Okay, so and in this article, we not only interviewed them, documented, and to show their suffering as raise awareness tools. We want to show their suffering, but also resistance and humanity, so their voices can be heard. So their story would not be presented as statistics or propaganda tools. Our role was to amplify their voices without exploiting them.
How do you think that this paper that you wrote can help genocide prevention strategies with respect to gender issues?
Oh, the genocide, how it helps the genocide prevention strategies for the
Mhm.
practitioners you're talking about. Um, Most of the time, the genocide prevention strategies overlooking policies of reproductive control, rape, and the forced assimilation that target women and that they focus on the mass killings. By documenting how Uyghur women have been subjected to forced sterilization, IUD insertions, and state sponsored marriage, we demonstrated that these measures are not incidental abuses, but deliberate strategies of destruction. Because it's fully consistent with the Genocide Convention's definition. Recognizing these gender dimensions helps international genocide prevention practitioners move beyond the body count framework and instead detect genocidal intent early by alarmist policies that undermine group continuity through women's bodies.
Well, Rukia, I really appreciate you taking the time to explain and talk about your research paper and the power behind all of that. Can you share with us how these gendered policies targeting Uyghur women expose the Chinese government's genocidal intention in East Turkestan?
When the state implementing genocide, their plan would be the strong evidence of the intent. And China's genocide against the Uyghurs achieved by planning, budgeting, allocating resources and staffs to enforce and carry out these plans. The Chinese government's plan do not explicitly say that they are going to implement genocide or they're going to kill people massively in front of the world. But they implemented genocide policies. These policies, this action itself speak of the intent. And Chinese government and high-level officials who planned these policies and know very well that these policies are destructive and that they suffer fatal consequences and how Uyghur population dramatically declined because of these policies. But they are continuously implementing these policies. And this is a general intent too. Chinese state or Chinese state representatives has both special intent and the general intent here. Also, we have mounted evidence that how they destroying Uyghurs' culture, religion, and identity. This is also evidence for their Chinese state's intent and Chinese state representatives' intent. Because when one nation's culture, religion, and their identity and the language were destroyed, this nation going to be disappeared. They will be destroyed. That cultural destruction also reveals their intent very clearly. Genocidal intent is very clear here.
Mhm. Thank you so much, Rukia. We look forward to talking to you soon. Thanks.
Thank you.